If you look at Searle's evolution, you really have to go back quite a way to understand the significance of what's going on now at Searle. Searle went through a period from the 30s through the 60s of immense research productivity. A whole series of products came out of Searle R&D, culminating, I guess, in the late 60s with aspartame. But I think it's fair to say that at the time Monsanto acquired Searle in 1985, there wasn't a lot there. There was a pretty dry R&D pipeline. And I think it's fair to say that very few people at Searle would have felt excited or optimistic about the company's future at that time. What has happened since then has been so remarkable that it's not only unique in the history of Searle, I think it's virtually unique in the history of the industry. Searle has been transformed in a way that only a few visionaries and people of great faith could have even hoped for.
Oh, you better believe I'm busier now than we've ever been. I think the whole group is just all moving so rapidly to meet timelines, to get to the market faster. So yeah, we're just really, really busy right now.
Right now, there's a lot of focus, a lot of pressure, and a lot of excitement in our clinical area because we have the 3 products plus more coming up in the later phase clinical trials. So the clock is ticking.
We've not had so many projects on the boil at the same time for many years. I've been working for the company for 20 years and I've never known it to be like this before. So this is very exciting for everybody. Also very stressful.
In the next year, we'll have the culmination of probably 5 to 10 years hard work to sort of reinvent an existing pharmaceutical company. Over the next year to year and a half, the first major internally developed products will be coming through our pipeline and hopefully be coming to market. Each of those compounds and each of our chosen therapeutic targets have major breakthrough, major commercial, major medical impact.
There's lots to do, no lack of time. Or we do have a lack of time, but other than that, it's no lack of things to do.
It's taken significant resources, a lot of patience, a lot of hard work on the part of the scientists, a lot of breakthroughs in technology that had to be developed in order to bring these products now to phase 3 trials and ultimately to the marketplace within the next year or two.
When I was here 8 and 15 years ago, we really didn't have many product opportunities to be focusing on. But now the whole tenor and vision of the company has changed in that they actually realize we have created our own products, and of course that means the margins are better and the opportunities are better, and now we're going to be launching things with a whole different vision and philosophy, and that's that we've got to do it together and we've got to do it the best that we can together as a global team.
It's a little more hectic, but it's a lot more fun. It was kind of a sleepy village when I showed up. There wasn't a lot of action going on. Today, I can't complain about that anymore. There's plenty of action for all of us. The day goes by, you don't even know where it went. The weeks go by, you don't know where they went, but you keep seeing progress. So it's really the place to be for opportunity.
It is busy, it is hectic, but that's good. This is the best of times, even though it's considered stressful because of the workload throughout the organization. But people are, I think, genuinely excited about working at Searle at this time because of the significance of the compounds that we have.
This is probably the most intense that I've seen in the time that I've been here. It's also very exciting.
Being able to see something through from start to finish has been, for me, that's fantastic to really be involved in something that you see from the very first glimmer on the bench to having a filing and bringing it into patients. That's a great thrill.
Being involved in the cardiovascular area is something that's been really exciting to me. I've had, cardiovascular disease in my family background, and so it's something that was very interesting to me. And then certainly the potential for the growth that the company has. I think it's always good to be in that sort of environment versus the opposite.
We are going to file a new drug application for celecoxib.
This hypothesis has held since 1990. And what's amazing about the drug, we've even had external consultants and reviewers, and everything fits. Everything fits.
We bet the ranch. By about 1995, you could see the emergence of a strong Searle pipeline.
I never doubted.
It's hard to say no to Phil.
39 and a half months from the first patient to the submission. 60 months from the synthesis of the compound, 48 months from the patent filing. Absolutely everything had to work perfectly, no glitches. So if we think, I think it was, people will hate me, but I thought it was pretty easy.
Phil is always a challenge, but Phil is always challenging the team also.
You wouldn't have guessed it, a little company that just a couple of years ago had no value on the market. The only time the Monsanto stock went up is when someone threatened to sell Searle. And this became one of the hottest pharmaceutical companies in the world.
There are a lot of companies that have deeper pipelines than us. In other words, they have many more compounds in development. There are some companies that have as many compounds in phase 3 as we have in our whole pipeline. There are other companies that have, many more compounds in phase 3 than we have in our whole pipeline. But by our own analyses, as well as those people on the outside that follow the industry, our pipeline now is among the best.
Just the research, where things are going, the thought patterns behind where oncology in and of itself is progressing. We're going from treating symptoms to treating the disease.
It used to be they had to bore into the bone and really extract these progenitor cells, these early cells, and now they can be mobilized into the peripheral blood, they can be phoresed from the blood, filtered out of the blood, and stored, frozen, for that patient. And then after the patient receives chemotherapy, their own cells can be given back to them, and these rapidly develop into either white cells or red cells or platelets, depending on what their body need is. So it's really an exciting approach to having these patients recover from chemotherapy more rapidly.
Chemotherapy is designed to kill rapidly dividing cells because that's what cancer is. The sad thing is that there are a lot of normal cells in your body that also are rapidly dividing, and chemotherapy can't tell the difference between a breast cancer cell here and a bone marrow cell here, so it kills them all. The result is that it takes, your blood counts go down, and it takes time for them to come back. And while your blood counts are down, you're vulnerable to bleeding, you're vulnerable to severe anemia and fatigue, and you're vulnerable to infections. And so we've designed blood cell growth factors that make it easy for those cell counts to come back quicker.
It will be a milestone, but it certainly isn't the end of the road. Because of so much stuff, again, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is what's starting it. The stuff that follows is going to go just as heavy, just as fast, with just as many time frames to meet.
We really believe our phase 2 and our early phase 3 data say that the drug does work for treating the signs and symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis. The data tells us that celecoxib does not have the GI problems that NSAIDs do, and we think the next couple studies that are coming in the next few days will confirm that.
The drug we're working on is celecoxib, which is an anti-arthritic medication, and we're also wanting to develop it for pain indication. And we want it. The story is that it relieves the signs and symptoms of osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis, and it does so more safely than anything else that's out there. And it can also be used to relieve moderate pain.
So this isn't like any single drug anymore now. This is going to explode. You could probably build a company just around COX-2.
Globally, we're number 3 in the arthritis market, and we're about to launch Celebrex. which has been described by knowledgeable outsiders as potentially one of the biggest blockbusters of all time. I hope they're right.
Well, I don't have a crystal ball, but we certainly are hopeful. I mean, you can feel that this is a different place than it was several years ago. And celecoxib may be the beginning of it all. There's a big pipeline with some very important compounds in it. And I think celecoxib is going to be the first, and I think we'll look a lot different. Probably even 12 months from now, we'll look a real lot different.
Searle has proven that it's a competitive marketing organization, stronger in some markets than others, and of limited scope in some areas, but good at what it does. And here we are, poised at the threshold of introducing Celebra. I mean, no one knows what Celebra can potentially become. It is possibly going to be one of the largest, if not the largest, product platforms in the history of the industry.
Searle is well known for its arthritic leadership, also for its women's health leadership. But a company in the future is going to have another leg, and probably a strong leg in cardiology will help support Searle way beyond where we are right now. Cardiology products are one of the most expensive categories within treatment of patient care, and having two products, not just one, but two products within a year from each other coming to market will really establish Searle as a key player in the pharmaceutical market.
Zemlify is right now in phase 3 clinical development. The EXCITE trial, which is the largest interventional trial ever conducted. 7,200 patients will be enrolled in the EXCITE trial to try and demonstrate that Zemlify can prevent either death, heart attack, or the need for another angioplasty procedure in patients who are undergoing balloon angioplasty.
I'm really excited about Zemlo and Orbo being in the clinic. From a personal point of view, my father passed away with a heart attack. And so I'm really excited about being able to be part of a drug program that can help other people avoid death occurring from heart problems.
This program probably began in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. The program was designed, I think, when it was recognized that actually proteins in snake venoms, believe it or not, actually exhibited antithrombotic properties, and it was recognized that the chemical sequences within these proteins in snake venoms resembled some of the amino acid sequences in a common blood protein, fibrinogen, and that there might be some competition between these two natural proteins in terms of their effect on platelets. So the program has an early origin, actually, that goes back to the identification of certain snake venoms that have pharmacology.
We've been through this exercise for the past year. We have other NDA submissions, so we know what to expect. But this is different because we have 3 submissions at the same time consecutively.
There's an enormous amount of activity that goes into preparing a product for registration. We had 452 volumes, over 500,000 pages of documentation. I think the shipment that left Searle was 6 tons of paperwork. It's a culmination of probably 5 years of research efforts, documented, put on paper, and given to the FDA, both in electronic and paper format.
A year in advance, it's sort of theoretical. You've got timelines. You're going, yeah, I wonder if they're going to make this timeline. But as you get close and you really see the chart filling up, what's done and what's almost done, and then they eventually fill the truck up with 500 volumes of paperwork, it's exciting.
It's quite gratifying to see any compound that any one of us identifies to go on further and possibly reach the market. I guess you could say that it's a proud moment for any chemist to know that something that he or she actually discovered is actually in the marketplace now.
In the 9 years I've being, so every year, over the past 4 or 5 years that I've been doing this work with commercial planning, with R&D, every year I say this has been the most exciting year, and I'm sure if you talk to me at the end of '98, I'll have said that was the most exciting year, because something different has happened every time. The company is embarking down a path where we don't have a roadmap, so every day is a discovery, every day is something new that we have to learn and execute on that we haven't done before. And every week, it seems, gets harder and harder and tougher, and but then at the end of the week, it's like, wow, we got a lot done this week. So it's an exciting time.
For Searle, oncology is a new area. Working with the proteins and moving them through a development process is new. We've never filed what's called a biological license application. So the most exciting thing is that just we're in a constant mode of learning.
I had had a very hands-on experience with oncology in clinical trials, and I had worked in the hospitals where I saw the patients, and I had seen patients who had the side effects of neutropenic fevers and who were getting infections and landing in the hospital and couldn't finish their treatment. And hearing about these proteins that would help that problem was very exciting.
I've had a number of investigators and study coordinators call me and tell me about patients that, for so long were not able to take a certain NSAID because it caused them all of these GI problems, and they've been able to take our drug and they tolerate it, and it's really changed their lives. And those are great stories to hear. There was one woman who is in her 70s, and she actually cares for her father, who's in his 90s. And her arthritis had crippled her to the point where she really couldn't care for her father the way she wanted to. And now that she's been taking our drug, she's able to move around and give her father and her gentleman friend the care that they need. And so that's the kind of impact that this drug is having on people's lives.
It is Zemli and Orbo that attracted me to Searle. I do love global marketing, and so I thought that there was something that I could bring and contribute that would be good for Searle as well. And if Searle continues to have such a wonderful pipeline, it's a marketer's dream.
It's energizing when you realize you can get that much work done and still maintain a quality level. It's energizing that you have opportunities to learn new things and achieve new things. And for me personally, I have a personal selfish interest here. I work on an arthritis drug that may be a lifesaver, may make people a lot more comfortable. My parents both have arthritis. It may help my mother to have a happier last 10 or 15 years of her life. I think there are some other people who see a personal connection like that too, whether they're working on a cardiovascular drug or an oncology drug. There's a personal link. It's an ethical thing to do for a living.
Exhausting, laborious. It's going to be a lot of work.
My guess is the sound of champagne corks popping all around the world is going to be heard in some distant galaxy. It's a milestone, and it's just one of those things that doesn't happen very often in the history of a company. We hope it's going to become more of a habit in the future, but it's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
So where do I get my passion? A part of it is internal, and it stems from that. A part of it is the synergy, the sense of energy and enthusiasm that I take away from our functioning together as a management team. I think we're constantly raising the bar for one another. And frankly, a lot of it stems from just the sense I think we all feel at Searle, that we're going to prove the bastards wrong. Because they wrote us off and they left us on the trash heap, and we are back. And now we're going to make their lives miserable.